Hi, everybody. Welcome to a live. I'm back in Detroit, so we should not have any issues with our internet. So I'd like to welcome tonight Andy from Beans, Brews, and Bread. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Hi.
I want to just say a quick hello to everyone I see out in the house right now. We have Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Mel, always good to see you. Robin is coming from a rainy Chicagoland. Well, rainy Detroit land says hello. We have Anna and a lot of Chef tonight and Margaret Alice. Thank you all so much for. Oh, and Joe, hello. Did you get my email? I don't want to. I don't want to say anything if you don't want me to, but Joe sent me. Well, I first should say, can I? I'm going to ask you just to respond. Can I mention what you did? Because it was so lovely. And nope, we don't need to see that this morning. So I thought today, since we have Andy here with us, and it's kind of this type of time of year, we might talk about harvesting our root vegetables and harvesting, and growing our root vegetables through the winter if you're able. Let me just first of all say uh, to Joe, or let everyone know, Joe sent me this lovely package of spring bulbs that are so beautiful. They will be being planted on Thursday, so I'll do some video of that. But what a lovely gift to come home to. I look forward to seeing those in the spring, and we'll be sending lots of pictures about that. But Joe, so generous and kind. Thank you so much. And a lovely thing to come home to after our very long trip. So, Andy, tell me what you might be. Well, first of all, Andy, let's talk about your channel a little bit. Why don't you? Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think probably like most people that over the last couple of years, I started it. Was it just when it got into lockdown? I think, or just before? I can't remember. Was it 2 years ago now? So I wanted to sort of just try and document a little bit more on the plot. But then I was thinking of channel names and ended up settling with what I did on the basis of some conjoined other hobbies that kind of also went into growing, which was home brewing and baking as well. So uh, concentrated mostly on the allotment stuff for the first year and put a few other little videos up as well. So
awesome. So you have videos on how to do home brewing,
yeah,
and
a few of those.
okay,
Mostly, like I say, put those on the back burner a little bit and did a few bread ones as well. Everyone doing sourdough during lockdown seemed like a classic, a classic thing to share.
I still haven't been terribly successful at getting my starter going.
Yeah, I can't keep them. I used to have various pots hidden away in the back of the fridge, shaming
Yes.
me.
Well, and between fermenting things and doing starters, your fridge can really start looking like you know, a really bad
Science, yeah,
experiment.
science lab,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. But have you ever grown? Have you ever done gluten-free sourdough?
No, I made the mistake of buying gluten-free flour. I gave that away. But yeah, no, no, I've not ventured into that. So I think mostly sort of the normal classic yeast rather than sourdough for me. I think I just it's much more reliable. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than having a hockey puck of a large sourdough loaf come out of the oven that's not risen at all, and trying to foist that off on the family is not very successful.
yeah. That's when you have to say, I baked this for the birds for down at the allotment, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
they can
just
peck away at it.
yeah, wildlife fodder. Yeah, so yeah, and just kept at it really. So hoping it, the vlog style ones seem to do okay, and some of the how to don't do too bad either. So I just enjoyed just sticking the video on and seeing what happens and editing it back out at base.
One of the pieces of this whole YouTube thing is that I couldn't remember where I planted something,
Yeah,
and I thought, "I think we have that on a video." And it was so nice to be able to go back and look at it. So that's
Yeah.
just kind of
Well,
a
that's
personal.
everyone's New Year's resolution, that isn't it? To actually label
Yes.
and put things. I still don't do it.
We're pretty good about labeling, but sometimes they break, sometimes a bird takes off with
Yeah,
it,
or the weather
but
away.
it's really nice if you have some film of it. So, tell me what you are doing currently in your garden.
Well, at the minute, most in terms of getting things, they said like putting the beds to bed. The trying trying to get a little bit of a respite over the winter period, just because we do with our seasons. Unless you've got covers or polytunnels or greenhouses that you can keep things ticking over once, unless it's particularly hardy, and depending where you are in the country, things just naturally, just due to the seasons, die off or go to sleep. So
Sure.
um, at the minute they've got some chard in, not as advanced as I'd like it to be. So that's now fleeced up, just hoping to try and get a bit more residual heat, get them going so we can get a little bit of stuff. But I think just due to the way that the weather's been so weird this year, there's not really that much in the plot. But I did manage to get some green manures down. There was one towards the end of the summer, so we managed to get that down, and that's germinated quite well. And then an autumn winter mix, so sort of ryegrass and things like that in it, and clovers and vetches.
Now, do you do this every year? Oh, well, we lost Andy for a few minutes. Here he's back. Let me see.
What on earth was that?
There you are.
I don't know what happened. I'm
Welcome
back.
back.
I'm back quite quickly. So yeah, so
You
green
were great.
manures. Yeah, yeah. So green manures, bit of chard. Had a few things at the house. I trialed some square foot gardening in sort of fabric planters this
Mhm.
year on the decking, and they're quite good for sort of winter crops. And they're sort of in a bit of a sheltered position on in the back of the house, so they're not doing too bad. And there's other stuff that we've harvested and put away, into storage. So try and slow down a little bit over the winter period because we don't have a polytunnel anymore after I think we had a bad stormy year or so ago, and that completely tore away. They don't call them flyaway
Yeah.
polytunnels for nothing. So yeah, that's gone. So there's less protection on the plot now unless we've got fleece down. So
Okay. So you find when you do have overwinter protection, you're able to grow year round, pretty
more or
much.
less, it's just obviously your varieties. So your choice and
Right.
varieties are naturally restricted because unless it's able to withstand low temperatures or you get it in time and it's
Right.
established enough, it's not gonna carry through.
Right. Okay. Um, so what kind of root crops have you been able to grow this year?
Well, this year we did quite well with did okay with the turnips, the beetroot. It's practically the one thing you can't fail on our plot. Just we from time to time we struggle with getting manure deliveries and producing enough compost to kind of keep the fertility up. But for some reason, beetroot's just the one thing you can't knock back.
Now, do
So
you
we've
like it? Do you like
yeah yeah we, yeah
Okay.
we're not.
Sometimes what you can grow is not necessarily what you like
That
to
is
eat.
true. Like the
Right, right.
turnips and beetroot,
Yeah.
but and spuds were okay this year. We've had pretty good results out of that, but we mostly concentrate on the first earlies and second earlies because they're the tastiest.
Mhm.
Just devoting that much space to main crop, you really have to have a pretty decent sized plot, I think, and succeeding getting enough to keep you going over a whole year to be self sufficient in it. So we just concentrate on the expensive ones in the shop.
Yeah. So are you, a pot do you grow yours in pots or
No, in the ground.
buckets? Okay.
Um, s- mostly because of the outlay of the containers, really, I think, and we just have enough space to get enough rows in to make it worth our while. We do. I've grown some at the house in pots,
Okay.
but I tend to find I get better yields in the ground, and I'm not so fussed about harvesting them out of the ground either.
Well, I gotta say, I've only grown potatoes in pots until this year,
Yeah,
and I thought, let's give it a shot. So much better yield.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe the difference, to the point where I don't think I'm growing in pots anymore.
yeah. What do
And
you
I
think?
know,
What would you put
yeah,
that down to for
I
you?
I I think, I have irrigation in most of my garden. Um, I think it was that, and I think there was no restriction for
Yeah,
how big they could get. I feel like that might have been because they both got the same kind of treatment that they would have.
yeah,
They got the same fertilizers. I use an organic fish fertilizer. They all got that. Um, so I don't think I'm going to go back to buckets.
yeah. I think for me, it's just keeping them watered enough and making
Yes,
sure just naturally. Unless I know I've seen some content online where they've got mulches and if they've got secondary holes around the sides, they kind of like wick some back if they're in contact
right.
with the soil. But in the ground, it's kind of set it and forget it, isn't it? Really, just stick them in
Yeah,
and
these were the least work this year, and they turned out beautifully.
yeah.
Have you ever grown in hay for
No, I've seen
potatoes?
that where they put them on in the bales.
Yes. I almost
Yeah,
want
I
to try it, but I'm not sure I want a bunch of hay bales in my backyard.
was going to say, does it? Well, they break down though, don't they?
Yeah, but I think it takes a while.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 or 3 seasons later.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Is
so
there a thing about whether if you get is it which one's got this possibility of seed still in? Is it hay or straw? Because that's another one, isn't it? If you get the wrong,
yes, I think it's hay,
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Don't quote me
yes,
on that.
yeah,
Yeah, because we're not kind of
yeah.
I'm not out in the country enough to know, like I'm
The
sure a
diff-
lot of people
yeah,
would go, "Hey," or oh, they will know immediately, and I'm
yeah.
like, "I don't know." I think straw's lighter, so usually that's the bales you buy at
Was
the
that
garden
was that one
centers.
called the Ruth Stout method or something? I think that
Yes,
was.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, and she was big into that, like,
The no,
everything just got
yeah,
buried in that.
yeah.
So
No, well, I don't. I don't. I'm not into like digging, massive trenches and then putting
right.
the spuds in and then filling it back in. I just tend to dib a sufficiently deep hole and pop it in and leave
Yeah,
it like that. So it's relatively no dig. I wouldn't say I'm evangelical about it or living the no dig life, but I
right.
did just simply just to less effort, just
I think
poking a
that's
hole in and putting it
to
in. So
me, that's the
easy.
beauty of no dig is less effort. Um, I think that's why it's caught on so well.
Yeah,
'Cause it's no fun digging dirt over. Uh, let's see. So you had some potatoes that I think you were gonna show, didn't you?
yeah. Well, I was just saying about not doing it in containers apart from a few in the house was trying to do some. Uh, well, we call them over here Christmas potatoes. You put them in after most of your crops gone in with the aim of kind of getting a sufficient growth that you can get them put into protection when the weather changes.
Sure.
But unfortunately, they caught blight and turned into mulch. They also were really leggy, simply because of putting that down to there's not great light levels at this time of year, so you don't get really compact growth. You get really long, leggy growth, and it's difficult to kind of get them in the pot and transfer into the undercover. But in terms of like Christmas dinner, that's what you're going to get. So I think I'll be using those for maybe seed potato for next month. Vivaldi, which is probably not the best for Christmas spuds because it's a second early, so even they take a bit longer than the quickest. I
So
think you're
what
really
would
supposed to
you
use really should have probably used like I think it's the first early, so something like Swift or
okay.
really the quicker the better, simply because you don't have a lot of
So
time.
something that would just give you the quickest crop.
Quickest possible crop, yeah, and then but ideally it's protected from blight and then popped into somewhere undercover for protection for the rest of the
Okay.
year up to Christmas, and then yeah, so that's not the best advert for Christmas buds. So I don't know if anybody else in the
Well,
chat's had any success with
yeah,
theirs. And
we
it's
just harvested all of the rest of ours because we're starting to get frosts at night and freezing, and we have had the best harvest we've ever had.
do you do all so first, seconds, and main crop, or do you
Yeah, we call what do we call them? Early, mid, and late
late?
season. So it's the same thing.
Yeah,
And I prefer a lot of the mid-season ones just because they're some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we did grow one late. And we just harvest them as soon as
Mm.
everything dies on top. We let it go for a week or two and then we pull them up.
Yeah.
So we got an incredible amount. I have like a huge crate now in the basement
Yeah.
in a cool area. So
Yeah. I'll
we'll see. We
keep
don't
you
go
going.
through potatoes that quickly. So we'll see
Yeah.
what we.
Well, we're kind of close to Cheshire, so like Cheshire's kind of famous for its potatoes to some extent, and you can get like a
Okay.
massive 25 kilo bag for like £8. So it's like
Wow.
growing like main crop potatoes on an allotment when you can just go to a farm shop and get £8
I know.
25 kilo. Doesn't make much
Oh,
sense
I
really.
know. I don't think we garden
No,
because,
I know.
you know, it's kind of like if you were a sewer. I was a sewer young when I was younger, and it wasn't about making garments cheaper. It
No,
was about making them exactly like you wanted them.
you want it.
Yes. And things do taste better when you pull them out of the
Yeah.
garden. I mean, that's just the way it is. They just taste so much better. Um, so what other kind of root crops have you
Um,
had a good year with?
well, carrots were a washout. That was a waste of time. We just have so much carrot root fly. It's just
Oh,
almost impossible to um, get as soon as they're in, and you thin in, that automatically gets them, seeking out where the scent's coming from to find it. And I also think if unless you're changing where you're growing them as well, I think they can live over in the ground from a year to the next. So it's really difficult. But if other people are growing them as well, so we've got 25 other plot holders all growing
okay.
the same kind of stuff, and it just I think you get a lot of pest pressure that way. So, but the ones we did at the house, again in the containers, actually, were not too. We've got those actually with a Jean de
Oh,
Doux,
no.
with a heritage variety. We're putting
Okay.
those in the cellar in sawdust which we've dampened.
Mhm.
So they were quite good. So I'm thinking certain things that have a lot of pest pressure just to have a bit of a taster at home rather than at the plot.
Now, your plot is all ground level, isn't it? You don't have
Yes,
any raised beds.
all on the flat. Yeah, I don't have
Okay.
any apart
Okay.
from one seedling area that's very neglected and needs a good tidy. But that's
Okay.
yeah. We again for some reason we just don't get a lot of spare timber. I don't know if it's builders you're keeping it or whatever. We don't really have a lot of spare timber to get freebies unless someone's
Okay.
pulling up decking. You tend to
Yes.
find a lot of people using old decking for that, and for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to
Okay.
be
Now,
getting
do you
there.
really think there's validity to the flies can't fly above 3 feet?
I've put it to the test because might try next year putting some netting at a certain height round, but I don't know because I've heard people say that they can, if they're in a tree and they can kind of fly down. Could be a complete old
Well,
wives'
I
tale,
always
isn't it?
think if a bug is really motivated, they're going to figure out
Find a way in,
how
aren't
to
they?
get there, right?
Yeah,
Um, Now, my raised beds are very high. They're about 30 inches,
yeah,
and I've had no problem with
right.
carrot root fly. But I also am about the only gardener,
Around,
like
yeah,
I garden around, so
yeah.
they've got to really find where I'm putting it. But I also found last year I tried to put my garlic in like half circles in my raised beds, and then I
Right.
would plant things that many times got
Oh, like
affected
yeah, it's
right next to the
alliums are
garlic.
supposed to mask the scent of the
Yes.
carrot
Well, I don't
tops.
know if that's what happened, and I was lucky enough to, you know, uh,
Escape. I mean, is it a
yeah,
thing in
escape from that
America?
because of the
Carrot fly.
garlic, but I think I kinda wanna do that again,
Yeah,
although my garlic's already in, but
yeah,
I think I might do it with onions in the spring because why not? Let's try that again and see
yeah.
if it worked.
Well, you almost don't want to change. If it worked once, you don't want to.
That's exactly if it works,
Yeah,
I don't change it until it stops working,
yeah,
right? So you had not a great carrot.
yeah. It's just one bag full of them. But again, you're pretty easy to germinate, but then it's then keeping them protected after that.
Yes. So have you are you growing parsnips at all?
Yeah, a few germinated. We had really bad germination with the packet that I had this year. We had a lot last year, and we've still got some stored in the freezer. So I'm not massively heartbroken to not have a huge bed of parsnips this year. But yeah, there's enough just to keep enough interest in the parsnip competition that Potty Mouth had on. So
Yes, I had none, no, not one germinate
yeah,
for me this year. So and I kind of wanted it because of that competition.
yeah,
I
wasn't
was hoping to, fly in with my 4-foot parsnip, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
not going to happen.
No,
Uh,
afraid not.
I want to go back to carrots for a second.
Hmm.
Have you found any tricks for germination with carrots?
I tried that plank method that was getting
Hmm.
quite a bit of coverage last year. So that I put two up because I was petrified of not taking it off long enough that it just that hit the plank and then either
Yeah.
become slug food or whatever. So I ended up making a sort of two planks as a
Oh, like a
a tent
teepee.
tent
Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
um, and that didn't uh, that seemed fine. Yeah, we just got that. But I'm a terror for not thinning. I just
Okay,
don't want to
yeah.
thin. So it all ends up getting too congested. So again, yeah, I should probably learn from that and thin things a bit more.
Well, it's kind of hard with a carrot. I always find them all precious. So I try to maybe because they'll maybe move around and get
Yeah,
their own way, but
they'll jostle around. They'll find their way.
I always go, isn't it Charles Dowding who's always into like plant them in multiples
Yeah,
always because they will find their way. And they kind of do. I'm not sure with carrots that's true, but
yeah.
um yeah, I try to plant mine in the shade of something else.
Oh, something that's already yeah,
Because again, we have a weird spring here and it can get go to hot just incredibly fast. So I usually plant a bed of lettuce. So I try to plant them in between the lettuces. So
by
as the
which
lettuce
time
grows,
lettuce is out.
that exactly,
Yeah,
then maybe we can do that.
yeah. It's a great trick that I should probably do more of that because, like you say, things when they grow in to start harvest something else, and then the next thing can come straight out. It's just
Right, right. And that's one thing that I think Charles Dowding is completely gifted at.
yeah.
He is always putting not he doesn't do a lot of he puts a lot of seedlings in.
Mm,
But he's always getting those in kind of at like the perfect time so when the next crop comes out, they're already growing quite nicely. So, I probably need to watch a few of his
yeah.
videos again
Well,
because
when they're little, they don't go great guns at first, do they? So, but you can
right, they
imagine by the
take
time that the competition from the thing you've harvested is gone,
right.
it's
They're
really ready to.
because they're spending all their time getting their roots down at the
Mm,
beginning. They're
yeah.
not yeah. So, yeah, I think he's one of the best at that. Okay, so we've got carrots and potatoes, parsnips. Uh, any rutabaga this year?
Oh, the uh, English Swede.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yes.
Again, there's a few on the other plot holders, but it's not a very popular. I think it's again, it's you've got to love it, and you've got to you want to find some culinary use for it, apart from just mashing it with another vegetable, potentially to hide the taste. But,
Oh, so you're
I'm
not a
not a
fan.
massive fan of that, so I think I'd have to. I
Okay.
tried a few years ago trying to get a row in or so, but yeah, again, the brassicas can be a bit finicky with club root and stuff. So unless you've got a
Well,
dedicated,
and those
yeah,
those
yeah,
white butterflies, horrifying.
yeah,
Okay, so you're not a. I grew up with Swede,
yeah,
although it was still rutabaga
yeah,
over here. Um, and my husband tried it just recently because I started growing it, and he was like, "This is great."
yeah,
So I thought, okay, maybe it's if you're not force fed it as a
yeah,
kid
probably,
that you enjoy
yeah,
it more. Okay, so beets. How are your
yeah.
beets?
Well,
Well, I think you already kind of said there.
oh yeah, well, just we can't fail with them. They're just it's like a football. just, but yeah, they're so um, easy to do. Um, And there's actually surprisingly quite a few different varieties, the different colours and the varieties. Like the choggy, that's quite a good one.
And
And we've quite got taken with the golden and yellow beetroot.
aren't those
Um,
they are so much sweeter.
so sweeter compared to the
Oh,
red one.
yeah, I've even shaved those raw into salads, and they
Yeah,
were phenomenal. Yeah.
but
No,
they
I
store so well as well. That's probably been in a box with, if you can see, like the shaving, uh, the shaving, the sawdust on it, and probably for 2 months now, and that's totally fine still. So they keep forever as
and
well.
what's your favorite way to prepare those?
We just like them roasted mostly.
Okay, so you roast them with the skin or you peel them
Yeah,
before
take
you
the
roast?
with the skin on, and then we
Okay.
just top tail after they've been roasted, and just shave them as carefully as you can without getting too much of a mess. But yeah,
Yeah. That's one of the beauties is that that could stain like you could dye fabric with that.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
serious.
Well, I think they did, didn't they, back in
Oh, I bet
medieval
because
time?
that's all you can do with there
Yeah,
wasn't, you know, synthetic dyes out. You
yeah.
just dyed.
But
Oh,
it's we don't. I did try, like you say, the Charles Dowding sort of cell transplants. Where you get a
yeah.
few, and they don't seem to get to this size for us anyway. But he may be getting them a little bit smaller, a little bit sort of more golf ball, the classic golf ball size.
Right. But I think
But we like them a bigger.
they're very tender when they're
Yeah,
little
but
teeny.
they're not woody. They're not split. They don't split at that size, and you get a decent size out of it.
Well, I have a counter full of beets, and some of them I'm quite sure are going to be the woodiest things we've ever tasted
Yeah,
because they kind of got neglected
last
and
ones.
they just keep growing and growing. So I've got to do that this afternoon. Gonna
Yeah.
delve in and see what we have.
No, but there's no very few troubles with those. So yeah, indestructible.
Yeah. So what else do we have for root crops? Turnips.
Yeah, but just try and get quick ones of those in if we can. But again, we don't mind just doing a long line and not thinning really, because again they tend to jostle away into where they're going to get.
Yeah. And I'm finding I've started growing these Asian, the small ones.
Yeah,
They're wonderful.
yeah. We tried the is it purple top Milan that
Mhm.
one quite
Yep.
a bit, but we kind of gone over to sort of, is it snowball, which is the all just a clear white one.
Yes, and they're
And I find that a bit better because the purple top melon are a bit more turnipy than, if that makes any sense.
no, it does. But
Yeah,
isn't it funny?
than the
We want a
snowball one.
turnip, but not real turnipy.
Yeah,
Just
um,
a touch of turnip.
yeah. But see, when I was a kid, there was always this like fairy stories about like a massively growing turnip, and it was a picture of that was always a very green turnip with like a sort of either a green shoulder and a kind of
Right.
yellow body. And you don't really, I've never really seen that. You don't see them much, but there's one called
I have seen seeds for those. I
yeah,
just
I think it's an
haven't
old
grown
variety
those.
called Manchester Market, which is, obviously we're in Manchester here, so I don't know, try and source those out.
Okay. I see that Robin Miller is a Chioggia fan, and Locke is saying that's why this was for the rutabagas.
Mm,
Danny from Grapevine Garden, they're called sweetabagas. Uh, we're all trying to be aware of each other's names on these things, right?
yeah.
So, okay, let me ask the audience: are there any root crops that you have had great success with this year? Although I'm seeing there's a lot of comments about many things. Just so
It's
you
quite a
know, I always
challenging year. It's been quite a challenging year for, weather and people's crops this year everywhere. So
yeah. So if you've had great success with one or not great success, let us know, and I'll try to keep my eye now on the chat. But as you know, I read these through top to bottom every time. Okay, so Andy, do you think there's anything different you're going to do next year to have better success with your root crops other than changing the weather?
That is not within my power, unfortunately. But
Unfortunately,
I
above
think
our pay grade.
I think trying to just get a decent compost or manure delivery this year for the plots. The last few years, due to just the way that our plots located, it's been difficult to get deliveries, and I think just also with um, supply, I think over the lockdown, I think a lot of like equestrian stables and things like that was suffering and couldn't,
Yeah,
might not have had the same production facilities, if you will,
sure. Or yeah,
for manure, and also getting it onto our plot was a real challenge because you want it in bulk,
right.
and farmers were delivering it, and in certain they're getting ever. The strange thing is they're getting ever bigger and bigger tractors, and they can't get them onto the plots to be able to drop the load, so to speak. So,
Sure, sure.
so it's just been a real challenge to get it, and they even had people offered to go and bag up themselves at the farms to bring the bags back. But I don't want to put, six massive bags of horse, uh,
Yeah, no, that sounds like a
you know,
great idea until you start doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then it's like,
So
I'm putting this in the trunk of my car,
yeah,
right? No,
yeah.
I don't.
So the practicalities of that, just weren't really working. But I think we might have sourced, a slightly smaller outfit that can get it delivered now. So we'll try and
So,
get an order.
you all try to come together for that as an allotment or
Yeah,
just
because we have two gates at either end, so you're able to get as long as it organised logistically, you could get a delivery at the front, and then it'd go and start at one end and go straight through the other.
okay.
Stopping off at each place and getting it taken off. So, but yeah, if they can do that this year, then I think people will get an order in.
Okay. Oh, we have a couple comments here about what was working or not working. Uh, sorry, one sec. Gotta keep up with all this. Uh, we had a celeriac. Mine is still in the ground. I think that has to come out this week too. Love celeriac. Charlotte Potato Joe is saying that Charlotte potatoes
Yeah,
in the ground were great this year. Pink for apple only got to
marble
marble
size.
size. Oh wow, that's really a
Yeah,
small. That's a more expensive kind of potato.
yeah, that's
So that's unfortunate. So yeah, that's one of those fingerlings, I think, isn't it?
yeah, the quite a knobbly one, that one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
Charlotte's are good.
yeah. Unlock as my parsnips have had 2 seasons. They're going to seed with all new growth. Now, was that your plan to let them go to seed so you could get seeds? Um, Locke, I'd be
Even if
curious.
not, I think you should give it a go.
Yeah, because it's always about
You
fresh
can't
seed, right? So
can't get
that's
a fresher
nothing.
seed than that, can you?
Exactly. Uh, and Pauline is asking, does anyone grow Jerusalem artichokes? I grow Jerusalem artichokes. And have you ever, I was going to say, Pauline, have you ever had them? Because they're a little bit, I don't know how to put this nicely.
It's the
Uh,
inulin. It's inulin, isn't it? It's the there's
yeah.
is it a starch or something called yeah,
Yes.
something
And
that's
it causes great gas.
yeah,
So actually, they're called fartichokes over here
yeah,
because if you're not used to them, you kind of have to grow into enjoying those.
yeah,
But they're very nice, sliced really thin, and even dehydrated. They're almost like a crisp. So they're kind of lovely. Um, First year growing celeriac and definitely love the Scottish weather. Yeah, I think they do fine because we've had a couple. really deep frosts, and they look wonderful. And I've got to deal with all these beets on my counter before I pull the celeriac out, or it gets out of hand.
We had
Um,
very small ones the year last. Not very much to speak of. I don't know if put in the wrong time or we had quite a dry spell again last, not
I just
this year,
think they
last year.
need to be in almost the entire season.
Yeah, it's just
I mean, because mine, I know I put in quite early, and they're about a small softball size,
yeah.
so they're a lovely size, but they've been in there forever. And then I think maybe it's just better to pick one up at the grocery when I'm trying to think about my square footage and what
Mm,
do I really want to give this to?
yeah.
And so I'm kind of rethinking a whole lot of things that I want to do for next year. Um,
We've put celery in the back garden, and that's in those bags, and that's just for cut and come again, rather than
yes,
getting, and that's working really well.
because how many times do you purchase a stalk of celery at the
Yeah, no,
grocery
just
and you need like three pieces
yeah,
off of it
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever?
So one one
That always
square
tends to go limp in my vegetable drawer
one
before
square
it's.
foot's done quite quite a lot for quite a long
I
time.
think that's very plain. Now this year I grew a new one. It was a red celery, so it had red streaks up of it. It was awful. It was
Just
horrible.
was it the texture? Was it just dead
Oh,
stringy?
it was I felt like I was chewing on wood. I mean, it was. Yeah, I've never had one so stringy, and it had all these great reviews, and I thought, "I don't know what they did that I didn't do, but that won't be coming
Yeah,
back." I had grown a pink, Asian celery for several years, and I loved that.
yeah,
So I thought, "Ooh, this red would be kind of fun." Yep, we're going back to the pink.
yeah.
Um, okay. So any other changes that you're doing to your allotment this coming year?
Just trying to keep it tidy. just just weeding.
Okay, now do you have grass mats or
Yeah, they're all
yep.
grass paths. Yeah, unless
Okay.
you choose to put. Well, I put membrane down because ours is just one big square of soil,
Okay.
and I try and demarcate with landscape fabric for paths. Because sometimes we might want a slightly bigger area for spuds, or
Sure. Sure,
so it gives you a
you
little
want
bit.
it to be yeah, easily changed if you
Yeah, so
need to.
you kind of
Yeah.
shift them a little bit. It does
Yeah.
obviously need required to peg them out again and that, but it does give you a bit of flexibility, which is not such a bad thing.
Okay.
But
So
yeah, just keeping on top of them.
how big is your allotment?
Oh, it's about, I'd say, probably about 8 meters on the short axis, probably by about 20 deep.
Oh, so
So
that's a that's
it's quite a long.
yeah,
It's technically a half plot for our site because they've all been set into half plots
okay.
just due to demand. Because I do tend to see on other people's content they seem a bit bigger than mine on the whole, but
Right. But that's a lot to take care of when you're also working and
is a
have a
thing. Yeah,
family,
it is a
right?
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing, trying to keep on top of that or mulch things, because with grass paths you will get quite a bit of grass clippings. So the other
Yes.
alternative is possibly to try and mulch a bit.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh oh, Robin is saying she grew way too much celery. Utah tall and tango.
yeah. Mine's
Uh,
Utah. I don't know about Utah at all, but whatever was on my packet was Utah. So they're
yeah.
quite popular.
I think I'm either going to go back to this pink Asian celery or try this Utah tall. I've heard a lot about that, and I think it's just a good classic celery.
Yeah,
At least that's what I've read about that. Um, oh, Locke has had a good year with celery. Awesome. Tastes good enough to eat. Well, that's a plus.
yeah,
That is a plus because the red. Don't buy the red.
yeah.
I think, and I hate to use the seed company, but it was from Baker Creek, and
Mm.
ooh, it just wasn't nice.
I think celery was always traditionally thought as being quite challenging, wasn't it? Because they were always saying, I suppose it's the way you probably would have the old varieties were always to be blanched, weren't they? They had to be either
Right, right. So
dug,
you have to,
dug down deep and then
yes. And it's so they were
wrapped in
like
newspaper,
potatoes
all
that
things
you
like
had to
wrapping them in
kinda,
newspaper and
yeah, that to me is
peeling
like
them up and yeah,
with, endive, where you
yeah,
wanna get the white, and or asparagus. We have a big asparagus bed, and I thought, "I am not doing that." They're purple, I think they're beautiful, and I'm trying not to, like, cut back on how much work,
yeah,
not, move. Maybe when I was 30, I was fine with, "Let's do more work."
yeah.
Uh, yeah, the pink celery, I know I got that from Baker Creek as well, and I know they last time I checked, they still ship to the UK. Uh,
I think I looked into those because they had an heirloom
yeah, no,
label.
they're very thin stalks, so you didn't have to, like, cut them in half. You could just
Mm,
and I would just hack off like, what I thought I needed.
yeah,
Yeah, so I never grew them to get beautiful, heads.
yeah.
No,
I
they
don't
would be
think.
heads, they would be stalks, right? Now, there's a question about celery. We call it do you buy stalk? You buy a stalk of celery, but
I
then
call it
each
a
piece
head.
is a stalk.
Do you not call? Well, I don't know. Perhaps that's just me. I say the entire
Yeah, the entire
growth. I'd call it a head of celery, maybe. I don't know.
okay, I've
Then
never heard it
individual stalks, maybe,
that's
maybe
what
not.
it seems like it should be, but it's always like, "Get a stalk of celery."
Mm,
Okay, well, that's like one little piece, but yeah, I think that we don't have a good name for that one.
yeah,
Uh,
braised whole celery. When we're not going through mountains of celery, oh, you know what I mean. These days, isn't it? Braised celery is not the only thing I can think it have it in bulk, wouldn't you? But
oh, I put it in a lot of soups and
yeah, but
stews and stuff, but it's not
as
like
a
you sit
veggie in its
down.
own right, it's not. You know, it's
Yeah, it's mushy. I remember that with, corned beef on St. Patrick's Day. A lot of times there was braised celery in it. I never found that palatable.
yeah,
It just it was mushy but I guess that was tradition
yeah.
to have that in with it. So a lot of celery. That's awesome. Uh,
I get the
I
feeling
also
it's. I get the feeling there's a root crop that we've
yes.
overlooked. I can't think.
I'm trying to think what other root. Oh, I tried growing root parsley this year.
Is that Hamburg parsley? Otherwise,
It's a German. It was a
yeah,
German name, and it was horrible.
yeah,
I shouldn't say it's horrible. It just grew these spindly uh, roots that did nothing. So I'm going to try it again because I wondered, would that be like,
I've
uh,
thought. Is it salsify or scozonera?
oh, do you
Which
see
is
how
the
long those grow?
yeah? Which is uh, the the white, the pale one? Is that
I I think that's salsify.
salsify? I grew that last year, and whilst it's a bit of a pain to prepare, uh, in the context of it going, dark when it oxidizes, it was really good, really tasty. I was surprised how easy it was to germinate, and we had, I think, it's about 6 rows of it. Loads.
Really? And
Yeah, it's,
were they very
yeah.
long? Were they
They were,
long, long
yeah. I
roots?
think there's a few still knocking around that have now. I wouldn't say it's the chance of becoming a weed, but if there were small ones that have overwintered, yeah, kind of volunteered and carried on growing. But yeah,
Oh,
it was really good, really tasty.
well, that is not something I've never grown.
Yeah. So
Now the
salsify.
spores, the
It's
other
because yeah,
one,
that's the dark skinned one, isn't it?
but
But
that's the one I think you have to grow in like 6 foot thing. Isn't it the one that
oh, I don't know.
I remember seeing somebody on YouTube who set up these enormous uh conti- uh sorry, I think that's my husband in the house. Somebody's in the house.
Mm.
They were like the PVC tubes
Yeah,
and
drain
they were
pipes.
yeah, they were like 6 feet long
Yeah.
and was growing them for competition. And I
You
was
could
like,
do that for parsnips or carrots, couldn't you? So people do that, don't they? So perhaps
yes,
it's yeah,
yes,
but
yes.
yeah, but the salsify was they're supposed to be quite similar in taste. I possibly think I've not done the scuzonera.
Okay, so now what did it taste like?
Uh,
Or yeah, remind you
it
of
was
maybe.
a less sweet parsnip,
Hmm.
so it didn't have it had more or less the same texture and an
Okay.
earthy taste akin to parsnip, but without the sweetness. So it kind of had a much more starchy sort
Okay.
of. You were aware that we were kind of eating more of a starch based root vegetable than you
Okay.
were like a parsnip tasted, a little bit, sweeter than that.
Yeah.
And that was you have to when you peel it, it has to go straight into acidified water, so lemon juice or
Okay.
vinegar, so that it
Okay.
stops the oxidation and it goes very dark, and it kind
Okay.
of it exudes quite a sicky sap as well when you're peeling it. So,
Okay.
so it's quite you have to kind of keep on the ball and
Okay.
prepare it quite quick, and then get it
Wow.
in the
I
water, and
I
then
think yeah.
roast it as you would a parsnip, so oil, butter, or in a pan.
Okay. I think I might, even though I'm trying to cut back, I'm thinking I might try those next year
Yeah,
because I was very disappointed with the parsley.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Again,
I am going to
something
grow those again. I think it might have been where they were located.
slightly out of the ordinary, but the germination was so much different than parsnips. It was chalk and cheese. It was
Yeah.
everything. Everyone nearly came up far too close together as usual.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, do you ever pre-chit your seeds?
no, but I might try that with parsnips seed next year, just due to how
Awful they were? Yeah.
choosing my words carefully.
Yeah,
Awful.
no, I know. Because some things just are really hard to germinate.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, did I try? I tried. Did I try French bean possibly in a pre-chitting possibly one year, but no, because again, just fed up of them not coming up. Either it's too cold or a mouse has got at them or whatever. So I might have tried that, but
yeah.
I might try the parsnip seed idea just because the germination rate was so poor.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it, but then I remember Steve was like, "Oh no, you just chuck them in the ground and that's it. You can't no pre-chitting, no." So I think I might try that this
Yeah,
coming year.
yeah,
Because I would like to get some. So, I mean, that was the point, right? There was a competition, but we still would like to get some.
yeah.
Um, oh, Anna is saying that pink celery seeds are available from Mr. Fothergill's in the UK. Thank you, Anna. Uh, that's awesome. Uh, okay. So, what we are missing? We've got to be missing some root crops. Uh, Radish. Do you grow radish?
Yeah, I tried the trick uh, year before last of using that to mark out where the parsnips went, and they worked quite well.
Yeah.
Um,
So it
I'm
worked
not.
for the radishes, but
Yeah,
not the parsnips.
I like the French breakfast ones because they get a decent size on them.
Yes.
The
And
glow ones,
they have a very mild flavor.
yeah,
They're not like some of the radish. I pulled a couple out when we get back, and they are like burning hot,
yeah,
which I thought, it's kind of cool, but I think they
yeah,
went through too much heat.
yeah.
Now, what do you do with your radish?
Just salad, eat
Okay.
a salad or was it the sea salt and butter? That's a bit naughty,
Well, that's the French.
very
That's
French.
the
Yeah, so
French way to eat them, right?
a la
Have you?
Francais.
Yeah. Have you ever um, roasted them?
Oh no, not I've not done them as cooked.
Oh, they're lovely roasted.
Yeah.
They taste like an entirely different vegetable.
Would you have to get them to get to a pretty decent size to go for that? So you're running into that sort of woody splitting territory where they're getting a
Right,
bit
or you
more,
grow
or enough to be able to make
or,
loads.
the fall season,
Is it
it's
Spanish? There's one
n
Spanish something or there's another
no,
one.
there's a daikons.
Daikon,
You
yeah.
can do that with daikons too. Okay. So anybody have any questions about root crops? Oh, salsify form a lovely flowering plant. So
Mm.
that's nice. If you pick one and you're not sure you like it, you can let
Yeah,
them
yeah.
go to see. I find that most vegetables make really beautiful flowering
Mm.
plants if you just let them go. I
Yeah,
love the.
the onion flowers are quite good for they're great for the pollinators. Those if
I'm actually planting. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. Maybe tulip bulbs or spring bulbs that need to get planted right now.
yeah,
Um, I'm actually planting alliums just for that reason.
yeah,
So these are the bulbs. They won't go to onions. They'll just go right
mm,
to seed. Uh, but I think those are beautiful when they those beautiful like nice big ball of lavender. Uh, oh, here's a nice comment from Jean. Talking of radish, we grew one this autumn called Blue Moon. Grows huge, about 6 inches long and 2 inches. Okay, that sounds like
a mooly or a yeah, like a
that sounds very daikon-y to me
yeah,
based on the size. And those are lovely, and they grow better in the second half, after your longest day is over, those grow much better, and I think they grow really well into almost winter.
mm,
Uh, Anything to me that can stand in the ground for a while, I'm a fan of that because you can't always harvest everything at the same time. As much as you try to time
yeah.
it properly, that doesn't always work. So, any questions out there? Anyone have any good luck with mooly radish? Hmm. I don't know that I've heard of mooly radish.
I think
Um,
it's not that dissimilar to daikon, is it?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not familiar with that. But daikons are great for kimchi.
Yeah,
So I imagine that
and
might.
like Chinese leaf cabbage as well for second half of the year. That'd be
Yes.
both of them
Uh,
at the same time
yes, that would be.
for
That's the
kimchi.
perfect time to make kimchi when
Yeah,
everything's coming in fresh, right? Oh, I still have some leeks in the ground. Don't know if that's actually a root crop, but kind of. It's a kind of sideways root crop,
yeah.
but mine are they're still quite small. I don't think I'm going to get much from them. Okay. We're at 52 minutes
Yeah,
already. That flew by.
yeah.
Um, any other further comments or questions, and we'll get to those quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna say this was fun, and thank you so much for being here. Andy, thank you so much
No
for
problem at all. Thank you for having me.
joining me. It was delightful.
Yeah, great.
Um, okay, so I don't see any comments or questions coming up, so we're gonna say thank you
Yes,
for being
great.
here. Appreciate you spending time with us
No problem at all.
live. Live. I know that's like actual lifetime is being given up, so I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
no, that's great.
And yeah, and we'll be on again next week. Um, I will be. Andy and I are talking about what future might look like. So we will. It might be Claire next week. She was unavailable tonight because I thought we would maybe try 3 people and see how that goes. See if I can keep up with that.
Hmm,
Uh, so we will see you next week, same place, same time. Thanks so much. Happy
great.
gardening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now.